Billionaire Ethan Caldwell never imagined his world would fall apart in seconds. His daughter Lily was walking with her nanny when the crowd suddenly panicked and people froze in fear. In the middle of the confusion, a blind street musician stepped forward, moving with a calmness no one understood. While everyone shouted and backed away, he reached Lily first and did something that stunned everyone around him. Even Ethan, used to power and control, felt his chest tighten as he rushed toward the scene. But just as he arrived, the blind musician spoke a few quiet words, words that changed everything. Ethan Caldwell lived a life most people could only imagine. As a billionaire CEO, he spent his days in a glass-walled office high above the city, surrounded by polished floors, expensive art, and a schedule packed with meetings. Everything looked perfect from the outside, yet nothing in his world felt warm. His wealth created distance, not comfort. Even at home, silence filled the huge mansion like an unwanted guest. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was the only soft part in his life. She was gentle, curious, and carried a quiet strength. She loved simple things, small drawings, soft toys, and especially music. But Ethan rarely had time to notice. He left early, came home late, and trusted Lily's care mostly to her nanny, Nora Diaz. Nora had been with the family for years. She was kind, patient, and understood Lily in ways Ethan often failed to. She cooked her favorite meals, read stories at night, and held her whenever her breathing grew tight or she felt faint. Lily had small health issues, nothing dangerous, but enough to worry Nora. She often tried telling Ethan that Lily's body reacted strongly to stress, but Ethan always answered with the same line, "I'll look into it soon." And soon never seemed to come. That morning had started like every other. The mansion lights glowed softly as Lily finished breakfast at the long dining table that looked too big for a child her size. Ethan walked past quickly, adjusting his suit jacket, nodding at Lily, but not truly seeing her. Nora watched the exchange with a quiet sigh. Lily, however, smiled as if she was used to it. Later that day, Nora took Lily out for a short walk in the city. They passed coffee shops, busy corners, and the usual street performers. Among them was a blind street musician named Marcus Hayes. He sat on an old stool, a guitar resting across his lap, playing melodies that flowed warm and gentle, even through the noise of rushing cars and shouting vendors. His clothes were worn, but his music felt alive. Lily always slowed her steps near him, drawn to the sound. She didn't know him, not really, but something in the music made her chest feel light, as if she remembered it from somewhere far away. Even Nora felt the strange pull of the notes, though she didn't understand why. Marcus noticed them through sound alone. He tilted his head and greeted Lily with a soft, "Hello, little one," as if he sensed her smile. Lily shyly waved, her small hand trembling slightly. Nora kept her close, but she allowed the moment. After all, Marcus had never been anything but gentle. As they continued walking, Nora couldn't shake a feeling she couldn't explain. Lily's faint episodes had grown more frequent, and earlier that week she had woken up crying from a dream she couldn't describe. Something was changing, and Nora wished Ethan cared enough to see it. Far above them, in his office, Ethan stared at a photo of Lily on his desk, a photo he hadn't truly looked at in months. Something tugged at him, a heaviness he tried to ignore. He pushed it away with work, as always. Down on the street, Lily turned back toward the place where Marcus had been playing, but the music had stopped. The stool was empty, the guitar case closed, and for reasons she couldn't explain, her heart started to pound. Something about the quiet felt wrong. like the beginning of something she wasn't ready for. The city moved on, but Lily felt as if something important had just shifted, waiting only a few steps ahead. The moment Lily collapsed, the lively street turned into chaos. People shouted for help, others backed away, and some stood frozen, unsure of what to do. Nora fell to her knees beside Lily, her voice shaking as she called the girl's name over and over. Lily's small hands twitched, and her breathing turned thin and uneven. Before anyone could react, a quiet figure stepped forward through the noise. Marcus, the blind street musician. His steps were steady, almost guided by something unseen. He didn't hesitate. He didn't ask what happened. He simply knelt beside Lily and placed one hand gently near her shoulder, listening closely to the rhythm of her breath. Nora stared at him stunned. "Please, she needs help," she said, voice trembling. Marcus nodded. "I know," he replied softly. "Let her hear something calm." With surprising coordination, he shifted the guitar from his side and strummed a soft, slow pattern. The notes were simple but warm, rising and falling like a heartbeat. People around them quieted, forming a small circle. Even in the middle of panic, the melody spread calm through the air. Lily's breathing began to steady, not fully, but enough for Nora to see a tiny bit of hope. An older passerby whispered, "How's he doing that? He can't even see her." Someone else added, "This is unbelievable." A sharp, expensive car pulled to the curb, the kind that announced power without saying a word. Ethan rushed out before the driver could even open his door. His chest tightened the moment he saw Lily lying on the ground, her tiny form surrounded by strangers, and a blind man playing a guitar. Nora met him halfway. "Ethan, she fainted. It happened so fast. I don't know how, but this man helped her." Ethan didn't answer. He moved straight to Lily, lifting her carefully. As he held her close, Marcus stopped playing and lowered his guitar. "She'll be all right," Marcus said quietly. Ethan looked at him with a mix of confusion and fear. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Just someone who heard her breathing change," Marcus answered. "She panics when it gets too loud, so I tried to make it feel quieter for her." Ethan blinked. "How would you know that?" Marcus tilted his head slightly. "I heard it." Those three simple words made Nora shiver. Somehow, he said it with such certainty that it felt impossible to doubt him. A nearby doctor who had come out of a cafe crouched beside them and checked Lily quickly. After a moment, he looked almost confused. "Her pulse is settling. Did you already calm her somehow?" He glanced at Marcus with a baffled expression. "I've never seen anything like that." For the first time, Ethan really looked at Marcus, not as a street musician, not as a stranger, but as someone who had done something incredible. Still, suspicion lingered in his voice. "Why were you near her? How did you get to her first?" Marcus didn't flinch. "I recognized her steps earlier today," he said. "Light, careful, like someone who listens before they walk. When she stumbled, I heard the shift." Ethan's breath caught. He didn't fully understand what Marcus meant, but there was something unsettling about how accurate it sounded. Lily slowly stirred in Ethan's arms. Her eyes fluttered open, and the first thing she whispered was, "Where's the music?" Marcus lifted his guitar just slightly, without playing. "Right here," he said with a small smile. Lily reached a weak hand toward the sound of his voice. Something about him felt familiar to her, too familiar for a chance meeting. Ethan noticed the gesture. It made his confusion grow into unease. "Do you know him?" Ethan asked Lily gently. Lily didn't answer with words. Instead, her eyes filled with tears, soft ones, not from fear, but something deeper. Marcus seemed to sense it too. "She remembers something," he murmured. "A sound or a place." Nora looked from Lily to Marcus, startled. What place? Marcus hesitated for the first time. His fingers brushed the guitar strings nervously, and he breathed out slowly. There's a melody, he said, one I played earlier. She reacted to it. That usually means she's heard it before, but not from me. Ethan felt a chill move down his spine. What are you talking about? Marcus opened his mouth as if to explain, but then he stopped. His expression changed completely, as though something unexpected had just struck him. Lily whispered a single word, soft, trembling, and full of meaning. Marcus froze, and Ethan realized that whatever came next would change everything. The moment Lily whispered that single fragile word, everything around them fell into a strange silence. Ethan leaned closer, hoping he misheard, but Lily repeated it, soft, breathy, almost afraid. Marcus stiffened, as if the word hit a memory he hadn't touched in years. Nora glanced between them. Lily, how do you know that name? Lily only held tighter to Ethan's shirt, shaking her head. Before anyone could ask more, a woman rushed toward them. Rachel, Ethan's ex-wife. Her heels clicked sharply on the pavement, her expression tense. Ethan, I heard she fainted. What happened? And who is he? She pointed at Marcus as if he were a threat. Ethan didn't answer right away. He was still trying to process Lily's trembling whisper. Rachel stepped forward, pulling Lily from his arms a bit too quickly. Why was she even near someone like this? She snapped. Nora stepped in, protective. He helped her. Without him, she might have been hurt worse. Rachel scoffed. Helped her? A blind street musician? You can't be serious. Marcus didn't respond to the insult, but his jaw tightened. He shifted his hand along the guitar, like he was steadying himself against the words. Ethan's voice came low and tense. He recognized her breathing. He calmed her. He knew things he shouldn't be able to know. Rachel threw him a sharp look. Ethan, she needs medical attention, not mystery stories. But Ethan wasn't listening. His focus was on Marcus. That melody, he said slowly. You mentioned Lily reacted to it. Why? What does it mean? Marcus lifted his face toward the sound of Ethan's voice. I've heard a child respond to that tune before, years ago. Nora's breath caught. Where? Marcus hesitated. A children's shelter outside Detroit. A young woman used to visit there. She'd sing that tune to a little girl before she... His voice faded before she disappeared. Ethan's pulse quickened. What young woman? Marcus shook his head. I don't know her full name. She never said, but she had Lily's eyes. Rachel stepped back as if struck. Don't start imagining connections that aren't there. But Ethan wasn't imagining anything. The way Marcus spoke, the details, the melody Lily knew without knowing why, it was too much to ignore. He whispered, Lily was adopted from a private agency, a closed file. The only thing they told us was that her mother left without explanation. Rachel winced. Ethan, stop. It's irrelevant. But Marcus's voice broke through, low and steady. It's not irrelevant if the truth was never told. Rachel crossed her arms tightly, sensing the danger in his words. Don't listen to him. He wants something. Marcus shook his head. I want nothing. But I heard that tune again today, after so many years, and when she collapsed, I recognized the way she gasped for air. It was the same fear. Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. His voice cracked. Are you saying you knew her mother? I'm saying, Marcus replied gently, that her mother trusted someone she shouldn't have and left clues only music could hold. Rachel grabbed Ethan's arm. This is going too far. Let's go. But Lily suddenly pulled free of her mother's grip and reached blindly toward Marcus. Her breathing grew fast again, not from faintness, but from fear. "Don't take him away," she whispered. Marcus froze. Nora's eyes filled. Ethan stepped closer, torn in ways he wasn't ready to admit. Rachel, however, hardened. "Ethan, choose. We're leaving." Ethan swallowed hard, looking between Marcus, Rachel, and his trembling daughter. And that was when Marcus said quietly, "If you walk away now, you'll never discover what her mother tried to protect." The words hit Ethan like a storm. And everything inside him whispered that the truth he had avoided all these years was finally standing right in front of him. Ethan didn't wait for Rachel's objection. He led Lily and Marcus to the small sitting area inside a nearby clinic, tension thick in the air. Nora stayed close, sensing that whatever was coming next would break something open. Marcus sat quietly, hands resting on his guitar, as if he was gathering strength. Ethan finally spoke, his voice rough. "Tell me what you know, all of it." Marcus nodded slowly. "Years ago, a young woman visited the shelter where I played for the children. She came every week. She was gentle, but troubled. She carried a fear she never explained, and she sang a song, your daughter's lullaby." Lily squeezed Ethan's hand tightly. Her eyes were locked on Marcus, as if she had been waiting for these words without knowing it. Rachel folded her arms, defensive. "This proves nothing." But Marcus continued. "There was a little girl she always held close. I never saw her face clearly, but she had Lily's soft hum, the same way she breathes when she's scared." Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, but the pieces were clicking into place too painfully. "One night," Marcus said, "the woman came alone. She wasn't singing. She was crying. She said she had to leave the child behind for her safety. She pressed a small photograph into my hand and begged me to keep the melody alive in case the girl ever heard it again." Nora gasped softly. "A photograph?" Marcus reached into his worn jacket with trembling fingers. "I never understood why she trusted me, but I kept her promise." He held out a tiny, faded picture. Ethan took it with shaking hands. It showed a young woman holding a toddler wrapped in a blanket. The woman's eyes, gentle, sad, familiar, looked unmistakably like Lily's. Rachel's face lost color. "Ethan, this doesn't mean she's—" "Does," Ethan whispered, voice cracking. "I know that face. She worked with one of our partners before she vanished." Lily leaned closer to the photograph, whispering, "I remember her, singing." Marcus lowered his head. "She didn't leave because she wanted to. Someone forced her to disappear." Ethan's pulse hammered. "Forced her? By who?" Marcus tightened his grip on the guitar. "The same person who tried to silence her story at the shelter. Someone with power. Someone who didn't want her connected to your world." Silence dropped like a weight. Rachel stepped back, shaking her head, eyes wide with something that looked too much like guilt. Ethan stared at her, stunned. "Rachel," he said slowly, "why do you look like you already know who he means?" And Rachel's trembling breath was all the answer he needed. Before she turned away, Rachel's silence told Ethan everything he had avoided seeing for years. Her hands trembled, her voice barely steady. "Ethan, I didn't want this to come out. I thought I was protecting us." "Protecting us from what?" Ethan demanded, hurt breaking through his voice. Rachel swallowed hard. "From her past. From the mess her mother left behind. I was told the woman was unstable, involved with dangerous people. I believed the agency when they said cutting ties was safer. I never wanted Lily caught in that world." Marcus shook his head gently. "Her mother wasn't unstable. She was running from someone who tried to take her child. She came to the shelter because she thought it was the one place they wouldn't look, Ethan felt his entire chest twist. "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" he whispered. Rachel's eyes shone with regret. "Because you were so focused on your image, your business deals. I thought if you knew Lily came from someone on the run, you'd pull away from her. I couldn't risk that." Ethan's voice broke. "I would never abandon her. She's my daughter." Marcus lifted his head. "And her mother knew she needed someone steady, someone who could give her the life she never had." Lily stepped closer to Marcus, her small fingers brushing his sleeve. "Did she love me?" she asked softly. Marcus's voice gentled. "More than anything, she sang that melody every night so you'd never feel alone." Ethan's eyes filled. He knelt beside his daughter. "Lily, I'm so sorry. I should have tried harder to learn the truth. I should have been there more. For you." She threw her arms around him, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt something inside him break open. Years of distance, guilt, and cold routines melting in one honest moment. Marcus continued, voice low but firm. "Your mother said one thing before she disappeared. She said her story would only be safe when her child found a place of love, not fear." Ethan looked up at him. "And now?" "And now?" Marcus exhaled slowly. "Now the truth has a chance to breathe." Rachel stepped back, overwhelmed, unsure of her place now that her choices were exposed. She turned toward the exit, guilt shadowing her face. But before she could leave, Marcus spoke one last quiet line. "Be careful, Rachel. The person who forced her to run knew your name too." Rachel froze. Ethan's heart stopped, and suddenly the danger felt far closer than any of them had realized. Rachel stood frozen near the doorway, her breath shallow. The weight of Marcus's warning held her in place. Ethan moved toward her, not with anger, but with a painful calm that settled over the room. "Rachel," he said softly, "tell me the truth. Who made Lily's mother run? Who kept us from knowing who she really was?" Rachel's voice shook. "A man named Dalton Ward, one of your former partners. Years ago, he tried forcing her into falsifying documents for him. When she refused, he threatened to take her baby. She ran to keep Lily safe. The agency told me to hide everything until it blew over. They claimed they were protecting our future. And you believe them?" Ethan asked, his tone wounded more than furious. "I was scared," Rachel whispered. "You were building your empire. I didn't want anything to ruin it." Ethan closed his eyes. "That empire means nothing compared to the truth." Marcus spoke gently. "Lily's mother wasn't hiding from you. She was hiding from him." Ethan stood still for a long, heavy moment. Then he turned to Nora. "Take Lily outside for some fresh air. I need a moment." As they stepped out, Ethan faced Marcus and Rachel. "Dalton Ward still has influence, but I'm not the man I used to be. I won't let fear bury the truth any longer." Rachel looked down. "I'll testify to everything. I kept the files hidden. I'll hand them over." It wasn't a courtroom scene, but it felt like a final judgment all the same. Truth weighed, fear exposed, and a choice made to end a long, painful shadow. Marcus nodded. "Your daughter deserves peace." Rachel wiped her eyes. "And you deserve to be part of her story, more than I do." Ethan walked outside, where Lily sat on a bench, leaning into Nora. The moment she saw him, she stretched out her arms. Ethan hugged her close, resting his cheek against her soft hair. "Lily," he whispered, "you were never unwanted. Your mother loved you deeply, more than her own safety." Lily's small fingers curled into his shirt. "And she loved the song," she murmured, "just like I do." Ethan looked toward Marcus, who stood quietly by the clinic entrance, his guitar held gently against his chest. "You kept her mother's promise," Ethan said. "You kept that melody alive for her." Marcus smiled faintly. "A promise like that? it becomes a part of you. Ethan stepped forward. Let me keep one too. I want you in Lily's life, not as a stranger, but as someone who carries a piece of her past. Marcus's throat tightened. If she wants me there, I will be. Lily ran to him and placed her small hand over his. I do. In the days that followed, Rachel turned over the hidden files. Dalton Ward was exposed, finally facing consequences he had escaped for years. It wasn't dramatic. It was simply justice that had waited too long. For the first time, Lily's story belonged to her, not to secrets. Months later, on a quiet Sunday evening, Ethan held a small gathering at the mansion. No big celebration, no formal event. Just a dinner shared with Nora, Lily, and Marcus. At the center of the table lay a framed photograph, the faded picture of Lily as a toddler in her mother's arms. Next to it sat Marcus's old guitar pick, worn but treasured. Lily hummed the lullaby softly, while Marcus played the gentle chords, the same melody that once calmed her breathing in the middle of a frightened crowd. Now it filled the room with warmth instead of worry. Ethan looked around the table and felt something he hadn't felt in years: home. In that simple song, in that small circle of people, he found the truth he had been missing. Kindness had done what money never could. It had rebuilt a family. And as the melody drifted through the mansion, Lily smiled, safe, loved, and finally complete.